and how they are dating women. Cocked that up, didn't I? I was finishing a TikTok, then I went straight into stay strong. By way of introduction, my name is Jamie Ryder, and today we're having a look at dating. We're taking it from the two perspectives, that of the female and that of the male. How do you feel as a female when you're going on a date for the first time with a man that weighs twice your weight? And then we're turning the tables and taking it from a man's perspective.
No, I haven't thought about it from that perspective. Yes, I have thought about it in the past, and hence why I do talk about jiu-jitsu as a self-defense against, particularly in the space of women against men. Two reasons. One, because jiu-jitsu is an art where size is less relevant, size and strength. And it is also a discipline where a woman is in her most vulnerable position. So I've thought about it from that context. But as far as day-to-day dating, I haven't. However, when you're in those situations, the only thing that you can do is draw down on your experiences. So a lot of the life lessons I tell people is, you need to detach from the past. Doesn't matter how bad that is. And detachment, there's an art in detachment. It's not just a simple thing of cutting a string. But the thing that you're not leaving behind is the lesson. So if thinking from a female's perspective of saying, I'm a 50, 60, 70 kilo woman, depending on their age, obviously teenage is a bit lighter than a more mature woman, then you've really got to start applying the thing that's really uncommon into your everyday transaction, and that's common sense. You need to pick up on signs early. You need to ask more questions. You need to put yourself in less vulnerable positions. Another subject we talk about is being 100% responsible. The art of being 100% responsible is exactly that. Yes, you should be able to put yourself in any position and be safe, but the reality is this world has dished up something other than that. So therefore you can't. So part of that responsibility, if I was unsure, thinking from a female's perspective of going into an environment with a male that I was unaware of, common sense would say, okay, either get to know the person before you sort of find yourself alone down a back alley, and in fact, I can draw from a real life experience where my daughter was asked on a date. And I said, where are you going? And she hadn't experienced a date because she had a relationship for 3.5 years from 14. So 17 and a half, she's now coming into a different world. And she said, we're going to go and check out this beautiful view. All right? To which I answered, pig's ass you are. All right? And then explained why, which she was like, he's not like that, rah. I said, and I would like to think he's not. And the reality is, a lot of men aren't. However, you don't know. And unfortunately, in the world we live in, you have to be a little bit more sensible. You have to draw down from a lot more wisdom. And therefore, apply 100% responsibility and don't put yourself in those vulnerable positions. Now, to pad that out a little bit, because common sense isn't that common.
That was my next question. Yeah.
And if you did put yourself in that vulnerable position, and you should have the right to, you should be safe. The reality is, it's a gamble these days because men don't understand. And it's not just men, it's men and women and so forth. But, a lot of my videos, I talk from a male's perspective. One of the part about my thing is being 100% authentic. I can't talk from a female's perspective I can't talk from a male that's been threatened in that environment by another male. So yes, it goes on. No, it is not acceptable. I'm speaking from a perspective that I do understand and I've got experience in, So yeah, women should be safe, but they're not. So they have to apply that. But then what is your fallback position? So you've made a bad decision. You've had a couple of drinks. You may have, it's common sense. Something that happens a lot these days is people too take drugs. These are the things where I'm saying be 100% responsible. Just because you're drunk, just because you've done drugs, just because you've flirted, just because you've walked down that back alley doesn't give someone the right to sexually abuse you. However, my advice would be, okay, let's take a few steps back and not participate in some of those things when you don't have backup in particular. If you're going to experiment with alcohol and drugs and all those sorts of things, you need to understand that you're in a position where you're going to be more vulnerable. Be 100% responsible. You have to play your part, regardless of whether you should or shouldn't be safe. The reality is you may or may not be.
Mm.
So that's how I look at it. And in every single situation, I come back to people saying, you have to be 100% responsible.
Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, is there a way that you can succinctly describe how males naturally think so that people can preempt that in behavior and protect themselves?
Yeah. So amplify your own emotion. A female doesn't think like a male at all. And a male is predominantly going to pick up any sign to what they think they want. If they're attracted to you, you only have to give them half a sign for them to go, oh, you want sex. For a female, half a sign might be, oh, I want you to think I'm pretty, look at my dress, and have you noticed my handbag matches my shoes? All right, so they're on a completely different level. And I don't mean that could sound very sexist. I don't mean it that way. My point is, you may want the attention of the male. They're thinking you're saying, let's have sex. That is the point that I'm making. So you throw half a sign. A male is trying to sell to himself. He has an ego. He has a beer. He has a larger ego. He has another beer or a scotch. His common sense goes down. His aggression levels go up. So he's no longer in the place he was when he was dead sober. And the more that he consumes, the more that you then increase other males into that environment where testosterone levels increase. And now we're going, who's the alpha, right? Now, you may not be the alpha among the other men, but where are you alpha? To someone weaker than you. Because you're going back to animal instincts. When they're drunk, when they've got drugs in their system, now some people think this way without any of those substances, and that's another level. But how does a woman need to think about it? The woman needs to think, when she sort of goes, you think I'm pretty? He's going, you want to have sex with me. That's the sign he is getting. Hence the confusion of no me. It's like, you gave me every sign. It's like, I didn't give you any sign. But every sign she lays down, he's going, she wants me. She wants me. Oh yeah, she wants me. Oh damn, I am so in. That is a male. You know it. I know it. That's how they think. That's how they talk. And then they back themselves into situations where their own ego sometimes, there's predators out there. No question about that. On the flip side, there's men that battle predator behavior. So that's another level. All right. So under normal circumstances, that they can control that. Under circumstances where they're, a little bit liquored up, a little bit drugged up, a bit too much testosterone going, all the right signals where it's like, hang on a minute, we've almost got a contract in place. This is how a lot of the men think, because, you and I get the luxury as males, and not that it's a privilege to hear this crap, but we get the luxury in this environment to understand the male perspective when they go, oh, she fucking wants me. You look at her, just notice she wanted a damn, wanted this, she bought me a drink, she keeps touching me, rah, rah, rah. You think you're having a good night dancing and you've barely noticed this dude. We know the flip side, so that is that perspective. And then to say no to what he has built up in his drunk head as yes, is a smash to the ego, which most of them can't handle. So the predator is someone to concern 24/7. Someone with predator tendencies is someone that you need to watch 24/7. Then you have those that are going to make a bad decision based on the environment. And it's sad that you have to start talking about these levels, but that's what happens out there. And then you have people that will absolutely not cross the line any way, shape or form. Yeah. Now, the pressure on these guys is, you look at the comments that I've made on TikTok where I have been 100%, you take one look and you go, I'm not going to take a backward step from anyone. Yet I am referred to as a simp because I say, love a woman, be vulnerable to her so she can love you. No means no. And I get comments like I'm a simp. Now, sure, a lot of these cowards that are saying that are just saying it because they're keyboard warriors. If they were standing in front of me, they'd do nothing but please and thank you. The reality is they should never even think that. At what stage, does treating a woman with respect refer to you as a simp? Like, that dot should never join, yet it does. So the psychology of the male for females to understand is the little wink, the cheeky look. You wear beautiful outfits. Now, one thing, as we know, particularly as males get older, particularly when you've been in marriages, women dress for the other women more than they do for you, buddy. Like, sorry to burst your bubble, right? Yeah, you say she doesn't look good with her new shoes. She'll slaughter you, but she didn't put them on for you. And that is reality. So, and this is where people say, you've dressed up in all this sexy gear. You've given me all the signs. You see, most of these men haven't joined the dots and go, yeah, that wasn't for you. And they're going, no, you did that to allure me, to trap me into it, which is just weakness on their behalf.
So are you grappling with being ghosted? Have you been in a relationship where someone has just taken off and you haven't heard from them again? Have you been messaging them, chasing them, following them? Well, you need to knock that off straight away. You see, it's a character flaw on their behalf, not on yours. If the relationship was going in a bad way, they should be man enough or woman enough to front you, express what was going on, and at least let you know what they were feeling, why they did it, and how they do it. You see, that's how adults behave. So if they're so flawed that they can't pay you the basic levels of respect, don't take that as an insult on you. Recognize it as a flaw in them. You're amazing. You're awesome. You are too good to put up with crack like that. Remember this and stay strong.